Hello.
Hello. How are you, Willard?
So, Willard, we're going to go to the 20-minute show instead of the 7?
Do we have enough things that we put as
No,
options
no.
for
I'm
encore?
joking, Willard.
Stick with the plan.
Okay, the first song we're going... Okay, so me and Dad have been playing clarinet for a year and a half since I picked it up in band, and Dad re-picked it up from when he was a whole lot younger. The first song we're going to play... Dad, you have to get your clarinet back out.
Thank
The
you.
first song we're going to play is Manhattan Beach March by John Philip Sousa. 1, 2, ready, play. Now, class, our resident keeping track of what we play, what are we playing?
Swing Low and All Night.
Okay.
You gonna tell me?
This is a couple songs that were merged into one by the writer of this book. It's a duet. I'm playing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and Dad is playing All Night, All Day.
And it's only one time through, and it's only the melodic line, but it's fun.
2 times through, actually.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, play.
Okay.
What's next?
Book 2, page 5.
Okay. This is in the second book of this clarinet, and it's Little Liza Jane, where we do a bunch of hopping around and playing and having fun with it. 1, 2, ready, play.
Thank you, Willard.
And
now we have a solo.
The next one is my first ever solo, and one I'm still quite attached to. This book has it as Crusaders March, but you might also know it as Jesus is Fairer, I believe is the name.
Book 135.
Okay.
Granta's piece. Could you close the curtain on the back window? Thanks.
This is Granta's piece, or Dona Nobis Pacham. Dona Nobis Pacham. 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, I blew a note there.
What's next, Dad?
Sakura.
Sakura. Sakura.
However you pronounce it, it's 131.
And this is a Japanese folk song that we recently heard sung by 2 absolutely brilliant singers. And it was really cool to hear a song that was in our book being sung by people.
And I don't know if you folks have tuned into Carpe Diem at all. I've sent around a couple of times a notice of the Carpe Diem / Revels singers from Washington, D.C. Our friend Kathy Bullock often leads songs there. And that's where we heard this for the first time played for real, except in this book. And it was really lovely.
And the name means cherry blossom in Japanese. 1, 2, 3, What is next, class?
I did it again. All through the night.
Okay.
26.
Since we can't play All Through the Night, we're going to play All Through the Night, which is the ending song that we always end with every night for our extremely long streak. I believe 197 days we have practiced in a row. It's 200 this Sunday.
And it's a Welsh folk song that's a lullaby.
And it's absolutely amazing. 1, 2, ready. bit there. Did you play the first part or the second part?
It's a little in joke. They're both the same. And I once apologized to Willard for having read the wrong notes. I played the first part instead of the second part.
But you guys make a wonderful, wonderful duet, and I just didn't even know that there was that kind of musical talent in your family. Thank you.
That was so great. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, so
Well, it's been fun. He's a great teacher. I've had an awful lot of fun following his lead.
shall I go grab my copy of From the East Bearing Gifts for you to read some from?
I
We
haven't
were talking
chosen
about
anything.
in the fall.
Yeah, we'll do
Oh.
that
We
in the fall.
said,
Did you want to read from your Carillon piece?
well, I could or not. What do you?
Were you guys expecting?
We're gonna move.
Okay.
Were you guys expecting such a short one that it should be over now, or is more okay?
So, thanks for coming to the coffee house, and you may have caught on. We had some other performers scheduled who forgot that it was tonight, so they went swimming. and then we had another performer who got cold feet and wasn't feeling up for it. So
I don't really understand that expression. What does it?
It means you're in the water and you get cold feet and you want to get out.
Maybe it's a thing where you're standing outside the door and your feet are getting cold because it's cold outside, but you don't want to go into the building.
maybe I don't know. Oh look, it's Ramona.
Ah, yay!
Yay!
Hey.
Hi, Ramona.
Hey, Ramona.
You got a sense of timing.
Did you come rushing up the hill? Do you want to do your poem?
Yes.
Okay.
My poem is pretty short. It's called Spring Has Sprung. Spring has sprung. No more snow, just sun. Springtime is sensational. Have fun.
Short and sweet. Thank you.
Ramona, would you be willing to do it one more time?
Spring has sprung. No more snow, just sun. Springtime is sensational. Have fun.
Yay!
Wow.
That's great.
That's so cool. Tell us about the poem. Where did it come from?
I just thought I was really excited that it was springtime now, so I thought I'd write a poem about that.
Nice.
So it's your very own poem.
Uh-huh. I wrote it myself.
That's awesome.
Thank you for
Good
sharing that,
job.
Ramona.
It's good this is recorded.
So, yes, this has been recorded. And Liana, are you going to read, or shall we use this as the opening act to, we recorded Claire this morning. We could package these together as,
Well, I think let me leave it up to you guys. I do. If you felt like settling, I don't know what you came expecting. If you feel like moving on with your evening, we could just stop here, or I could read to you a bit if you're all settled in the mood for being at a coffee house. You'll have to tell me though, because I can't hear you.
What are you? What are you gonna read?
Ah.
I have a piece that I wrote about some of my memories of Quaker meeting when I was a kid. And
Wow,
so that's what I was thinking of reading.
I'd love to hear it.
And she's being modest, Rua. It was published by Tina Coffin in the Carillon, which is a publication of the Little Rock Friends meeting.
Terrific.
That's good.
And
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, I will read. And, well, Ramona, did your family have anything else that you wanted to do? I wasn't sure. Because your mom had said maybe you might have that your parents might like to do something too, but I wasn't sure if that was the plan or not.
I think we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, here we go. So I called this. It's just
Why don't
called
you put it on gallery at least?
Childhood Memories of Little Rock Friends Meeting. When I was about 3 years old and my sister Laura was a toddler, my family visited the Little Rock Friends meeting for the first time at the recommendation of one of my mom's close friends. And then we kept coming. The Friends meeting met at Winfield Methodist Church downtown. At first, Laura and I would spend the worship hour in the church nursery, but after some time we started to go upstairs with our parents. The third floor had a broad hallway tiled with dark brown linoleum. At the end of this hall were the 2 rooms that the Little Rock Friends meeting had rented from the church for use on Sunday mornings. The first room was used for meeting for worship. It was a square room with a high ceiling and big windows framed by heavy white molding. There was not a lot in the room, just a quantity of brown metal folding chairs and handmade cloth seat pads on the chairs to make them softer, and footstools handmade from cardboard covered in cloth for people with short legs. Little Rock Friends meeting Sunday worship had 2 parts. The discussion hour at 10, followed by waiting worship starting at 11. We didn't always go to the discussion hour, but once a month, on the first Sundays, it was an hour of singing, and we loved to come for these. We sang out of a book with a bright blue cover called Songs of the Spirit. People would call out a song they would like to sing, and we would all sing it. Then another suggestion would be made and taken, and before we could believe it, the hour would have passed. Then, after a brief break, we would settle into worship. Our chairs in a circle, we settled into silence, waiting for a message from the Spirit, waiting to see what God might send to us in the silent stillness. Or, more accurately, the attempt at silent stillness, the combined effort toward being closer to still and silent than usual. It wasn't easy for me. The chairs were not comfortable. Often the metal felt cold. My legs were short. I would tuck my feet up to rest on the crosspiece that connected the front legs of the chair. My thoughts went about in my head, hopping, skipping, inventing a story, sometimes calming down. I would close my eyes as most people did and breathe slowly and deeply. Then my eyes would pop back open as if of their own accord. I looked around the room. The faces were unaware of me. This was my great secret luxury of Quaker meeting, this time to gaze at the grown-ups' faces, unobserved. The grown-ups figured 10 to 15 minutes was the right amount of time for children to sit in waiting worship, and after this time had elapsed, one of them would catch our eyes, rise, and quietly walk out of the room, and we would follow. Often the grown-up was John Coffin. Whenever I heard the word gentleman in the years following, John Coffin was the image that would pop into my mind. He was a very gentle man. Soft-spoken but very confident, he dressed more formally than most folks at Quaker meeting, wearing a gray suit coat and a tie. It just looked natural on him, though. He was distinguished. Often John wouldn't bother with the next-door room that was there for the purpose of hanging out with kids. Instead, we would walk quietly down the flights of stairs, outside and down the sidewalk together, about a block and a half, until we got to the community bakery. Later, the community bakery moved farther down the street and became a fancier place, a place you could go for special occasions. It was beautiful after the move, but I loved the bakery best the way that I first met it, a bit of a hole in the wall. Flimsy little tables and old-fashioned metal chairs, no decorations, just a big glass display case full of yummy and beautiful baked goods of all sorts and sizes. We would pick one of the few tables and then place our order. Sometimes I would get a croissant or a cinnamon roll. Sometimes we would all get cookies. John would get a cup of coffee, and we could each get something to drink. I always picked grapefruit juice. It was something we never had at home, and I loved the strong and unusual taste. The juice came in those small plastic cafeteria-type glasses with a textured outer surface and had to be drunk carefully to make it last for the visit. It all had a kind of solemnity. What made it so special? I can't remember what we talked about with John, but I remember that we always talked. I loved our conversation. I think we just talked of day-to-day stuff about our lives. John had a wonderful sense of humor, but he took us very seriously. That is what I remember, the sense of being taken completely seriously as a person, as an equal. I always felt he had the awareness that we were kids and in his care, but there was never any feeling that he thought we were amusing or cute or annoying or anything other than real and complete people. I didn't feel like I had to show off or be clever. I don't know how else to explain it. We'd return just in time to shake hands with the other worshippers and chat while standing around the room. John's wife, Tina, always gave us a warm welcome back to the whole group and helped me feel a part of the whole meeting. I loved her smile and her Dutch accent. Another grown-up friend who often volunteered to be the first day school teacher was Roz Abernathy. She had neat white hair cut above her shoulders, and I thought she was an old lady. As the decades went by, though, she just seemed to stay the same age, active and busy, so I think the white hair fooled me. It was true, too, that she had a no-nonsense way about her that seemed more old-fashioned than that of other folks in the meeting. But she was kind and responsible and liked to spend time with us. With Roz, we never left the building, but would settle into our special kids' room, as plain and bare and brown as the meeting room. We would set up enough folding chairs for whoever was there. Once Roz volunteered for a long stretch of Sundays in a row, and each week she would read to us from a book called Dangerous Journey, an illustrated children's version of Pilgrim's Progress. Whether we learned any of the great moral lessons the author may have intended, I can't say, but it was certainly exciting and interesting. Though I didn't feel the easy connection with Roz that I felt with the Coffins, it felt good that she wanted to spend time with us, and that she'd specially picked this book she wanted to share with us. It's hard to know if the church was really as cavernous as it felt to me back then, but I am fairly certain that on Sunday mornings we had that big hallway with multiple big rooms and 2 big multi-stall bathrooms all to ourselves, and we never saw anyone but the Quakers going about. One morning when I was about 7 years old, while the grown-ups were making conversation after meeting, Laura and I were in the bathroom by ourselves. For a long while I had been fascinated by the view out the bathroom window. Nestled in against the taller, grander, pointy brick parts of the roof were wide expanses of perfectly flat, gray-painted roof with a wall around the edge, and strange pieces of ventilator equipment. I wanted to go out on that roof. And this morning, for some reason, the window was open. "Laura," I said, "let's go through the window and we can walk on the roof. We'll be quick, no one will know, come on." Laura looked at me like I had lost my mind. "No," she said. The need to get out on that roof was too urgent to waste time arguing. "Okay," I said, "I'm going to go out the window. You stay here and watch for anyone coming. When I come back, you can have a turn if you want." Laura looked terrified, but she didn't try to talk me out of it, probably seeing that it was hopeless. Out the window I went. It felt odd, up in the sky. I patted the big air conditioner thing and made my way across the roof toward the edge. The walls were high enough to serve as a railing, but easy for me to see over. I could see out across the city. The streets and sidewalks were far below. The cars looked tiny. A person walking by was tiny, but close enough that I was afraid he would look up and see me and realize I wasn't supposed to be there. I heard a noise and startled, but it was just a pigeon flying off. Suddenly I felt scared. I turned around and walked back the way I had come, slowly, trying not to show my fear. I wanted to be cool and collected coming back. It was no big deal being on the roof, and I had been looking forward to it for so long. But I found myself walking right up close to the wall of the third-story section, as if being near it was safer and more secure. Suddenly I realized I was back at the bathroom. There were the shiny white porcelain sinks, the stall doors, but the window was closed. I tried with all my might to push the window up, but it was locked. My carefully maintained calm flew away. My heart thudded. I saw my family leaving the church without me, thinking I'd already gone outside, Laura too afraid to tell them where I really was and not saying anything. The church doors locking behind them, and me stuck on the roof maybe till I starved to death or jumped, unable to stand the waiting. These images, beyond all reason, flashed through me as panic rose up, and I banged on the window, not caring anymore if I was caught, yelling, "Laura! Laura, let me in!" Then something penetrated through the panic, and I turned my head to the left. I saw Laura leaning her head far out the window, calling in an urgent, loud whisper, "Liana! Liana! Over here!" My knees weak with relief, I hurried over to the open window. The window I had been banging on had been the men's bathroom window. How could I have forgotten that there was another bathroom next door? I had wanted to return to Laura as a fearless adventurer, but there was no use trying to pretend to be cool after she had seen me fall apart that way. I felt awkward and foolish climbing back into the window as Laura watched, her eyes wide with concern. And I felt ashamed. How could I have thought Laura had left and let me be locked out? She would never have done that. And now she knew I thought she had. "Couldn't you see me?" she asked, "and hear me? I didn't want to call too loud." I tried to explain, but I felt ridiculous and still shaken up. We hurried out to meet the rest of the family. Miraculously, no one else had heard me banging and yelling. Laura and I never told anyone about our roof adventure until much, much later. But we didn't do it again. In meeting for worship, during my treasured gazing at the grown-ups time, I noticed some things. One was that John Coffin never closed his eyes, as everyone else did. He never caught my eye. He didn't seem to be looking at anything at all. His eyes were tilted kind of downward and at an angle. They looked aware and intent, but also unfocused, dreamlike. I asked him one day, risking giving my habit away, but somehow not worried that he would judge, "Why don't you close your eyes during meeting?" He looked surprised, but gave me a direct and simple answer. "I just worship better with my eyes open." I was a bit puzzled. I thought closing your eyes was an integral part of Quaker worship. It was reassuring to know that it was optional. Often I'd be sitting next to my dad, and I would look sideways at him. He always closed his eyes, and sometimes he would have his head tilted slightly back, his chin up, a slight smile, and a look of peace and bliss on his face. I loved to look at him like this, and I thought, I want to be like that. One day, when I was about 9 years old, I decided I was ready to sit and worship for the whole hour. I hadn't told anyone I was going to be doing this, though it had been on my mind for a while. When the first day school teacher for that day got up to lead us out, and Laura and our little sister Catherine got up to follow, I gave the teacher a friendly wave and shake of my head to let them know I wasn't coming. Laura gave me a dismayed look, but she went out with the others. I sat in the stillness. First, I closed my eyes and breathed deeply as others did. This felt good, but it was hard to maintain. Soon my eyes opened again. Looking sideways, I could see the big windows. It was late spring, and a tall gum tree outside the church was in full green leaf. The wind was blowing, the leaves were dancing. Very carefully and quietly, I moved my chair from the circle over towards the window, angling it so I could easily see out the window straight towards the tree. The deep peace of the meeting settled into me as I watched the leaves twisting and gently waving about. The peace of the wind, of the glowing green, of the old tall tree, the soft, steady breathing of the people in the room. I loved the world, and I loved God, and I knew they loved me. I let my feet swing just a little, very quietly. I shifted if I needed to, but mostly I was still. I kept my eyes open. Sooner than I would have thought, the hour was gone. I moved my chair back to the circle as we shook hands, listened to announcements. Laura and Catherine came back in with the teacher. I felt proud and glad. So I was taken aback when Mom reprimanded me later. I shouldn't have moved my chair out of the circle, she said. The worship was about all being together, not separating ourselves. And if I wasn't ready for sitting in the circle, I shouldn't have stayed in meeting. Was this true? I didn't think so. It had felt so right being there watching the tree. I wasn't separate. I was together with everyone, with everything. I just needed to do it my own way. That's the end. Thanks for listening. Welcome back.
Yay!
Yay, thank you so much, Liana.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember,
Thanks, Mom.
I remember Roz Abernathy at
You do?
South Central yearly meeting. She ran the bookstore.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Well, yeah, I knew the Coffins from the Okie Archie quarterly meeting.
Oh, wow.
We used to go too.
Very cool.
I wonder when did you go, Lewis?
In the early 90s.
We might have run into each other.
It was funny, Louis, when I first visited Little Rock meeting, I picked up their